Kal Kadosh Boker or Masechet Daf Yomi, Masechet Batra Daf Samachvav Mudad 66A1. We are continuing from 65B, where we were just speaking about that according to Rabbi of the Kavedet Vonim, we're talking about beehives. That he said when you have a beehives which is Michubala Karka with teeth, with clay, that it's connected to the ground, according to Rabbi it's considered ground, and therefore you're allowed to write a prusbul on it. It's not going to be Mekabel Tuma Mimkuma. That means as long as it's connected to the ground, it's not mekabel tuma, doesn't receive tuma. And if you're going to take something from it on Shabbat, you're going to be chayav chatat. Why? Because it's ki'ilu that you're taking away from something which is connected to the ground. Meaning this kavered wooding, this beehive, when you're going to take the honey out of it on Shabbat, it's ki'ilu, you're detaching something from the ground. And therefore you're chayav on Shabbat for detaching. Chachamim come and they say, no, ena karka, it's not karka. Ve'en kotvina le prusbol, you're not allowed to be right prusbol. Mekabel tuman, and it's going to be mekabel tuman minkoma. You're going to be patur, right? Again, it's patur, but it's patur. Why? Because according to him, it's not considered a kli which is connected to the ground. So says the Gemara, hatam over there. Rabbi Elazar Tama. The reasoning of Rabbi Elazar is Tama Rabbi Elazar. My Tama Rabbi Elazar. What's the reasoning of Rabbi Elazar? It's written that you're going to dip it in a chalat dvash. So therefore, since chalat dvash is written ya'arat dvash, nashon ya'ar, we learn from here ma ya'ar tolesh mimenu b'shabbat chayav chatat. If you go to the forest, what's a ya'ar? A forest. If you go to the forest and you're going to detach something from the forest, you're going to be chayav on Shabbat. So to dvash you're going to be chayav chatat, which means even without being considered connected or not, the fact that the Torah called it a ya'ar dvash, so therefore the Torah is saying that that's connected to the ground. So when you come and you take it out, even if it's not physically connected to the ground, it's like connected to the ground, and therefore you're going to be chayav. So if you took a honey out of the beehive on Shabbat, you're going to be chayav. It comes from a pasuk. Okay? So he says, Ela barada. So therefore, which is the Rabbi Elazar then? Rabbi Elazar then. So he says, Rabbi Elazar the daf. We're talking about Rabbi Elazar of a daf, right? Of nachtomim, of bakers. The Tanam was learned to the Mishnah in killing daf shanachtomim chekavu bekotel. You fix it in the ground, right? In the wall, right? You fix this daf in the wall. Rabbi Eliezer says it's going to be tahor. Why? Because if it's mechubal karka, it's considered karka. And Chachamim say it's going to be tameh. So money. So who's this going like? Either Rabbi Eliezer, if you're going to tell me so even if you were chakak it's still not considered a keli. And then afterwards you came and you fixed it. The Rabbanan, if it's going according to the Rabbanan, even if it was kavaol v'sov chakakonami, even if you first fixed it and then you put it into the ground, it would be the same thing. So says the Gemara, leolam Rabbi Eliezer, really we're talking about the shitat Rabbi Eliezer. The shanep shute kliyetz tuma the Rabbanan, and it's different shute kliyetz because the tuma is only the Rabbanan. Remember, something to be mekabel tuma, there is such a concept of shute kliyetz. Shute kliyetz means a flat piece of wood. If it's a utensil, it's mekabel tuma. It's a utensil. But what about if it's a flat piece of wood? So that's called shute kliyetz. Shute kliyetz, it does mekabel tuma, but only midrabanan, not doraita, because it's not like a real utensil. So miklal the shiva doraita. So it's mashma from here that therefore when we're talking about the maim shuvim, that's poselet mikveh min Torah. So says Samech Vav Amud Bet v'hakam elan drabanan 66b. It says but we paskin that is drabanan, not doraita. So he says ve'od, and furthermore Hamar Rabbi Yosef v'Chanina bedaf shematecha machloket. The daf shematecha is a machloket. So he says leolam, you're right. Really be'emet it's rabanan. The Shana Shiva Drabanan, but here it's going to be Drabanan. So since it's going to be Drabanan, that's why the rabbis were Mekel, that even if it was going to be Kavov, it was Chakako, it's not going to be Posel. Why? Because it's only Drabanan. So the rabbis were more lenient in such a case. Ihachi, if so, Afiru Chakako Basov Nami Kavov. So even if you were first Chakek, and afterwards it's Kovea. So it says the Gemara Shanehatam, it's different over there, the Ikatura Kli alav, the Talush. Because when it's detached, it already has a Turat Kli. And ever since it already has Turat Kli, so therefore, that's why we're saying that it's a different halachot. So by Rav Yosef comes now and he asks the following question: Megeshamim shechashav alehem leadiach. When you have water, rainwater, that you wanted to come and use it, and you wanted to rinse off the stroblin, which is basically again the part of the mill. Maul Izraim. What about now for Zraim? Do you say now that it's going to be machshir lekabel tumah or not? Remember, for water, for something to become tameh. You have to think about it that as it becomes susceptible for tumah. So therefore, if it rains and I didn't think about nothing, so therefore it does not become metameh. But if I wanted to use that water for something, or I wanted the water to be there, now that water makes this utensil, this fruit, susceptible for tumah. So here I had megishamim, rainwater, and I thought I wanted to use it, meaning I was happy when it was raining, because I wanted to rinse off the itzroblin. This is the part of the mill. I wanted to rinse it off. So now what happens now to do with the zraim? If it fell now on zraim, and I didn't know it was going to fall on zraim, on the ground, right, on the seeds and everything, does it make them accessible for tomorrow or not? So Aliba de Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbi Eliezer, for sure there's not a question. Because if he says anything which is connected to the ground is like the ground, so therefore, for sure the Itzroblin is considered like the ground, and therefore it's like the ground. So therefore, to do with it's going to be Mekabel tomorrow or not. So what is the entire question? Only according to Shitat Rabbanan, Aliba de Rabbanan. So he says, Da'amni eno karka, that they say that it's not karka. So what's halacha according to them? Do you say that it's going to be susceptible for tomorrow or not? Says the Gemara, we don't know. We don't have an answer. We're not sure. And then we have the question. When a woman comes in front of you, right? Agba isur nichse. So she's going to collect 1/10 of the properties of her father. Even what does that mean? When a man dies, remember that the daughters do not inherit anything. But there is one thing that they always take. They take 10% in order for her nedunya, for her dowry. So therefore here, she's allowed to take the 10% for her dowry, even from the Istribule Derechaim, which means that even though nedunya could only be collected from karka, not from tangible money, right, but only from ground, from like properties, but here you could collect. So Ravashi, when we were in the debate, they collected even from the schirut batim, from renting of the houses. Why? Because since it comes from the house, it's considered the house as well. Meaning, even though rent is technically it's liquid, no. But since the rent is coming from the renting of the house of the property, and the property she does collect from, she could collect from the rent of the property, because the rent of the property comes from the property, and therefore she could collect from that as well.